Thank you. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome into the We Are Rise show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. How's everybody doing out there on this fuck around Friday? Smacking illegal if you can. You know what to do. They're all scum. What you see out here is pretty brutal. It's pretty sad. But these lower temperatures will probably keep some of these psychopaths off the street. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of people say they're gearing up. They're going to take their 18-month-old baby out, their child out. What sick bastard goes out in this weather, like temperatures below zero? I'm like, yeah, let's go out and like just mess around and screw around so we can, impede, obstruct, attack, ice. I mean, what person in the right mind does this nonsense? And they're getting all pissed off now that they're being recorded. They're being, let's just say, clocked, so to speak. They're being checked, and they're being told you're being put in a database. Look out, and we're going to come for you when everything settles down. One day when you're not, let's just say, unbeknownst to you, you get a knock at the door. Oh, there you go. Let us in, domestic terrorist. Let's welcome in my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, they ought to just start calling CPS on these people, these women.
Dude.
I mean, you're bringing your child out in sub-zero temperatures. What the hell is wrong with you?
I still don't get it. You know what? It's still really what it is that these people really think they have a lawful duty of interfering and obstructing, absconding from the law, thinking, hey, well, there's no dissimilar from the police, so we could still do the same thing. It's covered in the state and federal laws are totally different, ladies and gentlemen. They really are. And you know what? The patience is wearing thin. All these people that have done, horrible things to attack ICE and basically interfere, impede in all these, criminal investigations, they're going down too. All the arrests that happened just a couple of days ago. I'm not going to cover too much, but all the church people that went in there, Don Lemon's on deck. I mean, that judge that's involved with all this stuff, look out. You know what? Don Lemon is coming. He's coming to be arrested. And I think very soon you'll see it. They will perp walk him out, which is a good thing. And all the naysayers, the black pillars, all the people like the nihilists, they're like, well, if you want to settle for these arrests, that's fine and stuff, because these arrests in some way are meaningless. How are they meaningless? Because all you want to focus on is what? Epstein Island, all the people around Epstein, which you have no idea who they are. You have no idea. Millions of pages are dropped. A lot of it is blacked out. You're still looking for Epstein. You're still looking for arrest on that. The Clintons are on deck. They're subpoenaed. They're not showing up. They're going to be arrested. How about, Epstein's number 2, who's in jail? She's going, next week, I think, Marshall. She's going to show up there. Ghislaine is going to have a powwow with the Oversight Committee. Now, whether she pleads the fifth or not, that's going to be fun.
Well, she was up there, I think, today or yesterday, paying Bondi.
Yeah.
She was in Minnesota, and everybody got a kick out of her trolling.
Yeah.
Because she wore a lemon-colored overcoat.
Ooh.
So I think that Lemonhead is on deck. Yeah.
Yeah. The Lemonheads. Yeah. Look, he's screwed. Look, and the fact that he's called out white people, I mean, is a racist in so many ways. And I don't really care about that faggot. I mean, honestly, they got to bring him down. They got to show that, hey, we can arrest these people, put them in jail. You're not journalists. You cannot do what you did. And so that's it. So tonight's show, it's open lines. If you want to call in, I dropped the chat. I want to be flexible tonight because some people are like, I want to call in. I'm like, all right, well, I dropped it in both Rumble and YouTube. We're on YouTube. Share and subscribe. Leave us a comment if you want to call in. I dropped the StreamYard chat. Let me know. The cost of good trouble. This is an interesting topic. The lead balloon, which is an idiom. It's a term that's being utilized a lot more these days. The bitter pill. That's what a lot of people are swallowing because, they just basically feel like, there's nothing is happening. Nothing is taking place. These arrests are insignificant. So we're going to cover all that. We're going to cover Greenland. We're going to get into it. Welcome in pill.net. Hello over here on Rumble. What's up, Slap Daddy Trump? Hey, gents, greetings from ice cold Virginia, and snow's on the way. Wow. There you go. Glory P, what's going on? Good to see you. Good evening. Darla L's over here. Yeah, you're hunkering down. Be safe for this storm. Hope you're prepared. Got that firewood. Make sure you have enough lighters, flashlights, water. I mean, it's pretty brutal. Pretty brutal. Welcome in over here on pill.net. What's up, Trusty Turnham? Sausage Launcher. Thank you for the cookie. I see you said you're getting, well, you had facet injections, and now you're getting to test the nerves to see if it'll help in your vertebrae. Well, that's good. I hope it works out. I had facet injections, my spinal and ended up giving me vertigo. And I had it for a month. It was really bad. It was really bad. And I had to flush it out of my system. Thank you, Thea, for the cookie. Jack is fuck Friday. Yeah, we're going to cover Jack Smith. You know, I was very surprised, Thea, that a lot of people, Marshall, didn't really, they just overlooked it. They glanced over it, didn't really cover Jack Smith too much. And, you know, if you think about it, I mean, Jack Smith was the weaponization of the DOJ, the whole, basically, what came out of the stolen election, what they're willing to do. And don't think they're not willing to do it again. When they say they're willing to impeach Trump, they're going to do it. If we don't win 2026 or 2028, you don't think they're going to come at us? They're going to come at us with a vengeance. So all this naysayers, the bitter pillars, the black pillars, all the people like nothing's happening. We don't need to vote. We don't need to do anything. Yeah, good luck. Because you know what? You're going to be on the chopping block too. You're going to be on the chopping block too. Unless you're going to be a fence sitter, like certain people out there, like, well, I'm going to go back to that and really just, you know, I'm just going to be a tennis match referee, whatever, an umpire. Thank you, Thea, for 300 gold pills. Wood USA dropping 217 gold pills. How you doing, sir? Who else is here? I see a Trusty Turnip. Patty B, good to see everybody. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah, let me know where you're at. Give me the temperatures. What are you expecting? I hope the best for everybody in that area. I know we're going to be sunny 80s and stuff like that. And it's so weird. You see the line, Marshall, about how the low pressure just really just hovers over Jacksonville, even though their highs are going to be in the 70s. You know, like we had today was 75, 77. It'll be 80 tomorrow, 81.
It was about 80 here. It was like 80 here. Sunday, it's going to be 85 here. And then next week, it's going to go back down and get really cold back into the 60s.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
It is a joke. I mean,
and I'm fine with that. I'm 60. That's okay. Hey, you give me a break with some 3 or 4 days of 80 degrees. I was on the beach today.
Yeah.
I got
No, it was nice. I was walking around. Yeah, it's just been, I know it's been brutal. And when you're getting over a cold or you're getting over whatever and stuff, it goes up and down. And it's like, I had a headache today and I'm like, I felt because it was breaking, but I was like, it's just, I just moving out of this, getting into spring, maybe the allergies. Tracer
sun helps though. That's
80. Helps. I'm jealous. It's 2 degrees right now. Minus 22 in Minnesota.
Good God.
What the fuck? And how are you out with your children? Honestly, you should have your children taken from you. CPS should come and take you away. Children's service. I mean, honestly, if you're out with a dog or a child, I mean, I don't care how old the child is. Under 5, yeah, that's not a good idea. Under 10, what are you doing? That's child endangerment. That's no different, Marshall, than leaving a child in a car in a window rolled up in 100-degree weather with humidity. No different. It's the same type of endangerment, okay? And I just think that the idea that frostbite warnings are out there and all these different things, and then people are like, well, no, we gotta go and rally. You mean riot? That's what you're planning on doing. You're not rallying, you're rioting.
It's like taking your kid to a gangbanging event. I mean, why? And I mean a gangster thing, not a.
I know.
It's like going to a gang. Let's go take the kids to the gang event where they robbed the local store. Yeah. And we're going to hang out with the kid.
Yeah.
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard of.
I know. Exactly. And I don't think these children.
I couldn't get a babysitter.
Yeah.
Well, stay home, dumbass.
Oh, my God. I honestly, you couldn't get me out in these temperatures anyway. But the thing is, it just shows you how these people are. They are being paid, but it's more than that. Obviously, there's something else that is really more contingent about this. It's not about being paid actors and provocateurs. There's actually people that want to see this country. They want to see this country burn. They do. They hate this country. They hate this president. They hate you. They don't like you. They want to see this country burn. Yeah, it's beyond mentally ill. Yes, it is. It's totally beyond mental illness. So like, share, and subscribe. Hit the red pill. Hit the bell to be notified. That's the most important thing. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe, share. That's great. If you want to help the platform, you know what to do. Drop us a gold pill. Same thing over on Rumble. You can help us out over there too. Or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/wearerise. Or you can help out marshallkofi.com/servedog74. Moving on. Posturing Europeans drop tough guy act on Greenland private Vance. I thought this was interesting. We're going to go all over the place. I got a collage of stuff, but these are the fallouts. Vice President J.D. Vance said that European leaders are more reasonable and private regarding the U.S. interest in Greenland. Of course they are. Who was involved? Vance, European leaders, Prime Minister met Frederiksen, French President Macron, where and when, key quote. A lot of this posturing right now. If you're a European leader, you have to seem like a tough guy against Trump. So a lot of this that we've seen is more symbolic posturing for the Europeans. Behind the scenes, they're much more reasonable. Well, they're all making money. They're all benefiting off of Trump's policies in some way. They think they're not. But the debate over Greenland has strained U.S. relations with European leaders publicly rejecting U.S. ambitions to acquire the territory while acknowledging security. The point is that if you're going to weaken or destabilize NATO, you have to go through the EU to do it. And what better way to do it? There are many people that probably don't like the whole concept of NATO per se. They'd rather fall under the United States umbrella of dealing with this scenario where we're going to have some dome and we're going to be protecting quite a bit of people. And I think if that in the auspices of everything, or the separation or the financial eventual takedown of NATO, where people will just be like, I don't want to pay this anymore. I want to leave. I'm done. It's not working. I mean, President Trump putting out Article 5, why don't they come and protect our border? They're not going to do that. The UN is losing sight. They have no viability anymore, no power, no weight. That's why everybody's signing up to contribute to $1 billion, okay, part of this peace board. It's amazing. It's quite extraordinary for the revitalization of these areas. And again, the Black Pillars naysayers, they just want to set up Gaza as like some beachfront hotel property. Well, let me ask you something. Is that better than what it is now? You bet your ass it is. Sure as shit, it's way better. And everybody sees the future. But the problem is people make money off of war. All right? And the sickness of war, of this, it has to come to an end. It does, and I believe it will. I believe the commitment by many people, even President Putin, was quite striking. I'm not even surprised about that, Marshall, but go ahead. I got more of this.
They're not kicking out the Palestinians either. So the Palestinians are going to be involved in the construction.
Yeah.
Whatever talents they can get out of them, they're going to use.
Yeah.
They'll probably train a ton of them how to do stuff. So, and this is a Jared Kushner type project. I mean,
they've planned on this for a while, though. They've been planning on this for a while. So this was in the works probably 10 years ago. It's not Israel's plan.
Right. It's not for Israel. So anyways.
I would just say, what's the alternative? You want to continue on fucking fighting wars, killing people, bombing shit? I mean, we're removing Israel from this. And we're having bigger partners and players get involved in this. So ostensibly, they feel safe and that the area is going to be regionally controlled and patrolled some way. Alita says, should we trust Vance after he was slamming Trump every chance he got until he was chosen as VP? Well, he sounded really good today at the March of Life rally. He was really good. I have to give him props on that. The March of Rally for Life. Some of the commentary and rhetoric that he was putting out was fantastic. I mean, he sings the praises of President Trump and the administration and stuff. Look, I'm not a big J.D. Vance fan per se. I mean, do I like him as a VP over Pence? Oh, yeah, 100%. I just don't know how I feel about him come 2028. There's going to be other bit players that are in there. I kind of like Marco Rubio more and more these days. I didn't like him as a senator or my senator. I always thought he was a war hawk. Kind of like a Lindsey Graham, but lighter. But man, he's impressed me quite a bit. He's impressed. I don't know if things were put on his shoulders for a reason where he gets like multiple jobs purposely, but he's just been fantastic. At least his rhetoric, his commentary, being a direct spokesman, a real great spokesman. I mean, as a Secretary of State. I mean, he's just been fantastic. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't want to sing the praises too much because we all know, I don't know, has he changed so much? I mean, he's not sitting there and say, President Trump, we got to go to war with Cuba. We got to take this. We got to take it over. But I kind of like where he's going in some way. And you know what? I kind of like his sense of humor too. He's got a lot of brevity in there, and I think it's fantastic, Marshall.
Well, he's got a very good, a very strong geopolitical security brain.
Yeah.
He's more involved in all of that than J.D. Vance is by a long shot.
Right. I mean,
he's
who's much more
on with the negotiations.
Yeah.
Wasn't he up there with Putin this?
Yeah, I mean, he just left. I mean, here's the thing. So what happens in 2028 is so J.D. Vance is going to run. He's got other people he's got to run against in the primary. Marco Rubio saying, I'm not running. So you're not going to run. So is that basically your time? That's it. You're going to leave, or are you going to stay in this administration as Secretary of State? You think it's possible you keep him on or want his own Secretary of State? I mean, I don't know what's going to take place. Yeah, I mean, look, the way I look at Rubio's a shining star right now, a rising star. Very, when you see him, he's just been fantastic. Just if you listen to what he's saying, not necessarily expressing and towing the line of the administration, but really just basically being a good orator, foundationally expressing how the administration is maneuvering through. You know what I'm saying? I think it's really good. He's been really smooth. So, Vice President Vance,
stick around though, Brett.
I'm sorry?
I think Trump is going to stick around.
Well, him coming out there and saying it's going to be a 4th term basically gives way to the idea that the stolen election of 2020 is going to rear its ugly head. And the truth about that, and all the people, as President Trump has foreshadowed when he did at Davos, that they're all going to go to jail. All this stuff is going to come out. People are going to admit to this, and holy hell is going to break loose. Yeah. Vance acknowledged that the European officials have been incredibly hostile in public, but added, there's a lot of this posturing right now. And if you're a European leader, there seems to be like a tough guy against Donald Trump. Yeah, everybody wants to swing a big dick around him, but realistically, they can't. But they have to try because their people are looking for that leadership. So a lot of this, what we've seen, is more symbolic posturing for the Europeans behind the scenes, and they're much more reasonable, he explained. They also acknowledged that, God forbid, something significant happened in Greenland, the United States would have to play the leading role in defending it. Wow. He added, saying that there is a broad recognition that much of what we said about Greenland is actually true. I'll leave it at that. I think that's a clear indication that everything that President Trump has foreshadowed, has prognosticated for, that is coming to pass. When he says something, you should really read into it and believe it's going to come true. The idea that, all these people on X that are still towing the line about, Epstein, and they still can't get past their own selves. And they're still befuddled by the idea that from their standpoint, nothing is happening. We're just towing the line for MAGA. That's not true. Okay, first of all, I don't even care about the Epstein stuff anymore. The relevancy of Epstein is meaningless, okay? Because until Bill Clinton's prosecuted or Hillary Clinton is prosecuted or something else, you already got Ghislaine Maxwell in jail for what? Because no one can tell me who she was trafficking children to. What she did, she should get a second trial. I believe that. That's why she's in a minimum security, because I believe that she was personally, let's just say, held to account in this matter for a reason to silence her, to make sure that the bigger names, whatever this black book that she has of the 200 names she gave Todd Blanche, will not personally get out, at least at this time. Your thoughts?
Why does everybody think that Trump is getting everything he wants?
Right.
That's why the Epstein files hasn't been released.
That's a good point.
That's exactly why.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying that, that's the other argument most people don't see, is that the reason why he's holding leverage on all these people. People think, well, if President Trump were to release these names, and I saw Tim Dillon say, if he would have released his names, they would kill him. There would be I said, yeah, it's quite plausible to suggest they've already tried multiple times. But if he's holding off the Tigers and the Lions, the Bears at the gate, so to speak, from really doing damage, why not use it as leverage and say, hey, let's play ball? It's the same thing I said about when he was there in Davos. He probably told them and said, hey, look, if you want to be left out of this ledger or journal when it comes to the 2020 stolen election, because we know some of your countries were involved in helping steal the election. Give us Greenland. Or we leave NATO and we tell the world what you did. Or we just show the world what you did. That's the other argument that no one's talking about. And I think in some way, a lot of people overlook that, Marshall.
And when Trump began talking about Greenland months ago, what he did was he opened real big. He went big. He said, I want Greenland. We're going to take it over. That's what he portrayed. Well, it ended up being that all he wanted is what he got.
Right.
So he opened really big, freaked everybody out, and then he went back to him when he went up there, and he said, this is all I want. This is what I want to do. And this is what you'll get, and this is what we'll do.
But I think your point is valid. I think the reason why he's getting everything he wants, it's because of the Epstein files, or what he knows about Epstein, or the leverage he has on him from the 2020 stolen election. Think about that. Behind the scenes, they're a lot more simplistic. They're much more viable, let's just say friendlier. They have to show like they're doing something in some way, standing up to the orange man bad. That's what their people want. But in some way, he knows that they have to toe the line. They have to play ball, because their people don't want to know that they helped steal the election in 2020, or they were part of as a co-conspirator, multi-faceted co-conspirators. Scott Bessent says Greenland negotiations were a mask-off moment for several of America's supposed allies. Perfect timing for this.
The president wants to lead is with a change in the relationship with Greenland. You know, people here have been kind of freaking out over some of the messages from the administration. The president announced that there is some sort of framework in place now. What can you tell us about where those negotiations are at, and does it include a pathway for U.S. ownership of Greenland, as the president said he wants?
Well, Dasha, first of all, let's review the week. The hysteria level that hit here was just out of control, driven by the media, driven by like this European hand-wringing.
Well, in part driven by statements from the president saying military action wasn't off the table. I mean,
no. But everyone just took it, as they do with his statements, as the media does. It was completely out of control. And you would have seen my comments all week. Everyone remain calm. Let's let the president get here. Let's hear what he has to say. And during that period, I think there were some very unfortunate statements that were made by various countries. So we could actually see some of these countries took their mask off. Some of the leaders took their mask off. Others were very measured and waited to see what happens. And now Secretary General of NATO, Mark Rutte, we had a very good meeting with him, and he has presented this framework that the president is willing to work toward.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody caught with their dicks in their hands, and they jumped the gun, and they didn't, let's just say, represent the situation as well as they could. And I think they're finding out that, look, if you want to go on the attack, you want to go on the assault, you better arm yourself with the facts. But in this case, as Bessent, another shining star in the administration, you can't say any more about how well he's doing and what he's doing. He plays a very important role strategically and about that. And here we are right now. Again, people are like, well, what's the big deal about this? Well, we're going to cover this. Nasian says, what's up with POTUS saying Iceland instead of Greenland? Well, Iceland is Greenland. Greenland is Iceland. You understand? Because of the geothermal activity in Iceland, there's less ice structurally on that country. Okay? Whereas Greenland, how kind of like apropos, almost hypocritical, is called Greenland when 2/3 of it is covered in ice, if not more. And when you understand it, it's about 167,000 miles, almost double than the size of Alaska. And more of that partition is covered more with ice than Alaska is too. So I think that's what he was saying. Now, how that has some type of substance or rationale, I'm not really sure. I don't know where that plays, but maybe he's just being comical.
And he just said ice. He didn't say.
He didn't say. Yeah, he wasn't like. It could have been. This is another idiom Again, this is what I'm saying about these idioms
Yeah,
that
he does it all the time.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people, just like he said, should I run for a fourth term? He's giving way to the idea that that is basically the 2020 election, which was stolen, that he won, is now going to be shown, provable and viable. Those who helped steal the election will what? Go to jail, and they will allocute their crimes. And so him putting that out there on blast, even though, you know, the 12th Amendment, the 22nd Amendment, all these amendments, they're meaningless in the grand scheme of things. He's bypassing all this stuff. So the art of the deal of President Trump outplayed. I'm just going to fast track this. Denmark has to keep paying the population of Greenland $600 million per year. USA gets sovereignty over whichever parts we want for U.S. military bases. USA gets mineral rights. China, Russia aren't allowed in Greenland. Think about the million, and the cost is zero. Fucking zero. He beat them all again, got exactly what he wanted. He started by asking for the deal, itemized above all. He never have gotten it, and now he knows. Honestly, it's surprising more people haven't caught on by now, but that's okay. Let him keep running the art of the deal over and over again. If you want to end up with this deal and pay zero, remember, Mexico will pay for the wall. He knows he can't start there. So he started with demanding the sale of an entire country, and everybody lost their minds. That's the point of this discussion. That's the idiom that I'm talking about. That's the lead balloon. Because people like, well, obviously that didn't work out too well for all you people out there that are naysayers, black pillars, bitter pillars, that you can't handle that. Because the truth now came into focus, and now you're fucked. You're screwed. Because you're saying it's not going to happen. This was never going to happen. Nothing was going to happen. All this stuff is bullshit. And you know what? Now let's just put it this way. You're going to have to eat your own on this one. You really are. I think a lot of people are basically going to swallow their own pride on this stuff. And that's why I noticed that certain people on X that are the naysayers, the black pillars, the bitter pillars, they have to put out something. Well, we got a couple of arrests, but if you're going to toe the line, okay, just because you had some people that violated the First Amendment, which was a very important thing. The FACE Act is no joke. I think people are, undercutting it, not really looking at what they did, because this was purposely designed to get people to think about where we are with Christianity, Christian churches and stuff. And the question will still be that everybody is asking, why don't you go to a Black Baptist church? Why don't you go to a mosque or a temple? Everybody is seeing exactly what they were doing. Let's play this right now. I'm going to show you. Putin comes out and says Putin's Greenland masterstroke. Putin just dismantled the EU's grip on Greenland with a 5D chess play that gives Trump a total free hand. None of our business. Putin officially declares Russia won't interfere. Putin cites the 1917 land sales between Denmark and the USA as a precedent. If they did it, then why not now? Putin exposes Denmark's harsh and cruel treatment of Greenland as a colony. Putin runs the math comparing it to Alaska Purchase. Wow. So Putin's coming out in defense of this. What do you think about this? And you say that nobody's working together behind the scenes. Come on.
Этого. Теперь по поводу Гренландии. Ну, это нас не касается совершенно, того, что с Гренландией происходит. Но Дании и Соединенных Штатов тоже есть свой опыт на этот счет. По-моему, в 1917 году Дания уже продала, а Соединенные Штаты купили Виргинские острова. Так что такой опыт тоже существует. Кстати говоря, Дания всегда относилась к Гренландии как к колонии и довольно жестко, если не сказать жестоко, к ней относилась. Но это уже дело порядка. Вряд ли сейчас это кого-то интересует.
What do you think about that? He's highlighting everything that a lot of people are saying. He's saying we're staying out of it. It's not our problem. But, why didn't they make this deal sooner and faster, not honor the 19, what do you say? There was a 1917 agreement or 19-something agreement that we had with Denmark and the United States? Alita, I like Putin. I think we're going to find out a lot more about Putin. I mean, honestly, when you look at this, I like Putin more than I like Carney. I don't trust the Canadian bureaucrats one bit. Look what they did to the farmers. Look what they did in general to the truck drivers, the tractor trailers, all of them in general during COVID. They're all scum. They're all scum, Marshall.
Trump's team and Trump has played this whole thing with Greenland as if they're playing the Russia. Well, Russia could get it. China could come barreling down through that Arctic region, and we're screwed. Trump, China and Russia, China and Russia, China. The real problem and the real bad guy is the British Empire.
Yep.
That's what this is all about.
Well, yeah, you can see it's all attached to the crown and how we're covering that right now.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look, the problem with Carney right now and what we're seeing, what's going to happen and end up is that they're really going to move closer and closer to China, and they're going to lose their country. You know what? I don't know what's going to take place, but, you know, when you really think about it, they're the ones losing out. They're the ones that are going to be hurt from this. As President Trump has put forth, the Canadian leaders swept power amid anti-American sentiment around Trump's jibes about making the country the 51st state, used his keynote address to attack him. In recent response, Trump wrote on Truth Social, "Dear Prime Minister Carney, please let this letter serve to represent that the Board of Peace is withdrawing its invitation to you regarding," what does that say? They don't want him sitting on the board. He's a globalist. He's part of the old Bank of London. He's part of the old regime. He's saying, we will not have representation from Canada until new leadership is formed. That's what he's saying. Prestigious board of leaders ever assembled at any time. Carney, who is now the former governor of the Bank of England, said the old world order is in the midst of rupture. No, it's no different. That's why we say that EU is fracturing. NATO is definitely fracturing. They could be, when NATO goes, I think, and they will go away, they will definitely fracture where people are like, we're just not going to pay. And once the United States says we're withdrawing any amount of funds that goes in it, you won't need necessarily the Senate of a 60 majority vote to help write a new legislation to substantially break apart from it. We could just withdraw from it financially, and I think that's what's going to happen. And a lot of these countries will just walk away and say, "Hey, we want to be part of the Iron Dome." How does that work out for us? Does he say, "Hey, look, why don't you give us $1 billion? All right, why don't you pay into us and we'll protect you?" See, now what he's doing is reinventing a new NATO. He's reinventing a new World Security Council. He's reinviting UN membership to leave the UN as UN breaks apart and says, "Hey, if you want to be a part of this, we can show you how to be a part of this. All right, we can help you." And I think that's really good. While not mentioning Trump by name, he did say that Canada strongly opposes tariffs over Greenland shortly before Trump re-engaged. Well, we know the European Union has not withdrawn because they dropped the actual tariffs that President Trump agreed to back in June and July of last year. Now, the question is that going to be kickstarted again? Because he's already said that I'm not going to charge them any higher tariffs or any additional tariffs. So we'll have to see what the EU does going forward. Some 35 countries agreed to sign on the project, the senior official speaking on the condition of anonymity. 35. How many does UN have? How many countries are out there? What is it, about 190, 180? I mean, what does the United Nations really represent anymore? Under the ground rules set by the White House, he told reporters, and 60 nations have been invited to join. That's all you need. 60 nations, 60 world nations with real GDP, real security, real military, real firepower, real economic firepower. I mean, ultimately, you don't want third world countries. You don't want number one and number two, Sudan or Somalia, who have no stabilization, no government, you don't want Haiti. You don't want a bunch of fucking people running around fucking throwing what? Knives at you, throwing pitchforks at you, throwing what? I mean, honestly, President Trump he doesn't actually showcase how bad Somalia is. He makes fun of it, but it's sad in some way. However, initial draft version obtained by the Associated Press indicates much of the power will be concentrated in the hands of Trump himself. Wow. What does that mean after he leaves the administration? After he leaves, or does he? What is going to take place? According to the document, $1 billion contribution is required to secure the permanent membership. I don't think Canada has it. I don't think they even have the money. They probably have to secure a loan to get it, considering that we subsidize them at the tune of what, $200 to $300 billion yearly. So where would they get the money to come in there anyway, Marshall?
I don't know about that, but I think that I would like to see South Africa, Elon's namesake, come into it somehow. Yeah. I think it would be deserving for Elon Musk because that's where he's from. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I was thinking about during this whole beginning of this show is that Trump has literally, everybody should think about this. Trump has literally rebuilt or redesigned the global monopoly board in real time right in front of our face. He's literally changed the whole monopoly board geopolitically. I mean, he's really, it's amazing. I mean, I've never seen anything like this in my whole life.
No, it's great. I mean, and look, we've always. I'm having problems here. Something's going on. I wonder if X is down. I'm not able to show half the shit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's just rolling. Yep. Oh, geez. Well, I'll have to move forward. Maybe come back to it. I don't know what's going on, but all right. Anyway, so maybe X is down. I'm not able to pull up articles or anything like that. So, all right, moving on. We'll just continue on because there's so much more to go. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a cold bill. Questions, comments, or concerns. Let's hear your thoughts. A number of years ago, I read tons of info about Putin and why he hates Nazis and how they affected the family. Yeah. I mean, look, with the Board of Peace, accept any country committing genocide. Will the Board of Peace? That's a good question, Trusty Turnham. I know that he's invited Netanyahu in Israel. So, I mean, that's a good argument to make. But what's the alternative? You're probably going to, you're going to have to deal with people. Again, when we were saying the other day on the show, we might have to turn them to be tyrants in order to, fix the problem we have, things we despise. So that's not so dissimilar working with people that may be tyrants or maybe people that have committed genocide, but they're working through a way to be part of a peace process collectively with 60 other nations. So, I mean, do we move forward with this? Because President Trump doesn't look back. He never looks back. Only when he gets into his, does a time warp dance. He looks forward all the time. And so his attitude is that the only way we can keep this going is that we have to move forward. We can't just rest on our laurels. We can't go back to the same blame game. And, I understand that. I think it's disconcerting in some way, but, in order to move forward, you're probably going to have to deal with people that you may not like. I mean, is Canada committing genocide right now? I would say so. Over 100,000 people have been executed on this new scenario that they put forth for mental illness, and it's a new form of suicide. People are uncomfortable. They don't like their life and stuff. They can ask the government to put them down. I mean, this forced genocide, it's bigger than that. It actually has different nomenclature, a lot of verbiage attached to it, a lot of different stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. A lot
of them are white. I bet most of those people are white.
Yep, I guarantee it too.
That are dead. So
the AG of Arizona suggests people can shoot masked ICE agents under stand your ground laws. Now, we talk about stand your ground here in Florida and stuff, but I never once said that, we're going to use our stand our ground to shoot police. That's not what the law was intended to do. The law was there when the police aren't there to help you. That was the whole purpose of stand your ground, that you have an opportunity to defend yourself in moments' notice, all right, when there is no authorities around. It gives you carte blanche to do that. She's saying that we need to use our stand the ground laws to shoot ICE. She needs to be removed. She needs to be arrested. That rhetoric, again, this rhetoric continues on, and it's not going to go away. Who's involved? The Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays. ICE agents and Arizona residents, where and when. During a sit-down interview, the comments mark a continued escalation in violent rhetoric. It's like I said on Thomas's show on Tuesday, you're going to have more people pop off. When the military goes in, National Guard, what have you, you're just going to have people shooting each other. I think we're at this moment where a lot of these people that are going to be in selected areas per se, they're going to feel like they have nothing to lose. They feel like in some way I can get away with this. That's why you have to have the databases. That's why you have to film these people. That's why you have to make arrests. But in the meantime, you have to make sure that the areas are secure, and we know that standout's going to happen. And so when you see an AG of a state make such ludicrous commentary, she should resign and be removed from her post, because what she's saying is that I will stand by, and I will make sure and guarantee and grant anybody in the state of Arizona their use of deadly force against U.S. Immigration Customs agents under Arizona Stand Your Ground law. They feel their life is in danger. Wow, you're basically saying if you're an immigrant, illegal, criminal, alien scum, oh, it's okay. Go ahead, shoot. See what happens to you. I would suggest that anybody who's going to do this, look out. Repelling borders. If you didn't think Renee No Good went well, good luck with that. Good luck trying to do that again when you have National Guard in there. Good luck going in there in many other ways. They'll open up fire. They'll put like 20 rounds in you. They wouldn't even think twice about it. And they have immunity. See, everybody keeps thinking that these people are, someone's going to be indicted, someone's going to go, they have immunity. They have immunity. So that means they can kill you and there's no recourse. Now, you could sue them civilly. I mean, you could try to pull an OJ and see what happens. Good luck collecting. The Arizona Democrat previously stated, I don't believe ICE is a real law enforcement agency. Wow. Her remarks continued a disturbing trend among Democrats. Let's listen to this.
Bram, is that we're a stand your ground state. We have one of the most expansive stand your ground laws in the entire country that rivals even Florida.
It
we
does.
also have a lot of guns in Arizona. We're a gun culture in this state. And, you know, it's kind of a recipe for disaster because you have these masked federal officers with very little identification, sometimes no identification, wearing plain clothes and masks. And we have a stand your ground law that says that if you reasonably believe that your life is in danger and you're in your house or your car or on your property, that you can defend yourself with lethal force.
So she's basically going to stand by the idea is that if you feel in some way that these people are not ICE, that's what she's implying, that they're pretending to be. You don't know who they are. They could be cartel people. They could be mass people in some way. When in fact, they really are. You could shoot them and we will make sure that you will not be prosecuted. Marshall. Oof.
She's going to get people killed. And I can tell you what, if you pull your gun and you try to shoot an ICE officer, first of all, they're geared up.
Mm-hmm.
They've got bulletproof armor and all that. You're going to end up dead.
Yep.
I mean, they will kill you. I would not. This is bad leadership. What the hell ever she's doing, that was a really just stupid thing for her to say. Because look, people are going to get killed because of that kind of talk.
Right.
And I don't have anything other to add to it because that's just dangerous what she just said. Really.
It looks like X is back. It was down for a while, so we'll be able to return to certain subjects. But look, any way you shape it, any way you sell that, she's trying to sell it. She's like, well, you're not really sure they are law enforcement officers. She's actually looking at the actual structure of them and saying, are they really law enforcement? Do we really have to follow them? She's giving the doubt. She's selling the seed of doubt and giving the opportunity for you to not think about it. That's a problem in itself. But what she fails to understand is that you can't protect the citizens of Arizona because this is federal law. All right. If you shoot at them, they will return fire and they will kill you. And the state can do whatever they want, go blah, 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 blow bubbles out of their mouth. Nothing's going to happen. You could sue them civilly. Good luck with that. But the idea that you're telling citizens out there, and look, I understand where you're coming from with this, but I'm very disconcerted. I'm very, let's just say, disconcerted by the idea that an AG, the top law enforcement bigwig of the state, would tell its citizens to shoot at law enforcement and then to undercut and to be so cavalier to say that maybe these agents are not really true law enforcement. They might not even have a legal standing. All you're doing is seeding the doubt, pulling up more propaganda, this agitprop that what you're selling, and you're trying to give people an opportunity to rain holy hell down in there. Not good. It's not good at all. And they'll never learn. They'll never learn until you arrest them, you remove them. Here we go. Nick Sorta puts this out. Agents in Portland, Maine have just had a legendary interaction with whiny leftist who is stalking ICE. Why are you taking my information? Well, we have a little database, and now you're considered domestic terrorists. I told you how they're going to basically put you into this system, whether Palantir is involved in the. I mean, look, it's troubling per se. I do, as someone who has a problem with the First Amendment and understanding this, we're all in some database per se. But how this is, the problem is people are so stupid. They're so ignorant by the fact is that you equate this about utilizing your First Amendment rights when in fact all you're doing is violating your own oath of your First Amendment rights to participate and to give them full carte blanche, okay, information so they can criminally go after you and then follow you as a domestic terrorist, put you on a watch list. Just remember when you're going to go plan on a trip flying. And you know what? They're going to pull you aside and say, no, you're on a watch list. And they're going to start checking your bank accounts. When you're a domestic terrorist, I said this, an unlawful enemy combatant, that's what these people are going to be treated as.
Yeah. Look at them. Look at them. The ICC guys, be careful. Be careful. They're over here.
It's not illegal to record.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
You shade, bitch.
Considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
See, see, this is the problem. This Karen has no idea. Yes. For videotaping you? No, not just videotaping you. You're obstructing this in some way. You're part of this. When they start pulling your data, they start looking in your bank account and see if you're paid. Because why would you be out here obstructing these people? What would be the purpose you're doing? They're going to go through everything. They're going to see systematically you're connected to a hive group. Okay, the hive mind per se. And that hive mind is all connected, all these people, and all those people are going to be simultaneously brought down. Her laughing, oh, a domestic terrorist for taking pictures. Yeah, because what you're doing is interfering with ICE operations. You're trying to dox them. As Pam Bondi said, I know a lot of people don't like Pam Bondi. You don't like her. You don't like Secretary Noem. Nothing's getting done. But what did she say? You're doxing people. You're putting their information out there. You're putting them in harm's way. We're coming after you. There are databases. We're tracking everybody. We're compiling all this information. Department of Homeland Security has new policies to collect intel and put you on a watch list. These are all for the protesters. The databases that will be utilized for future law enforcement actions, check for outstanding warrants, and for legal or illegal status. The other thing they're looking for, too, voting. They're looking at all that, too, to put you in a database, all right, to hold you accountable if you're involved with stealing the vote. These are all intertwined, Marshall.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, this whole thing with Pam Bondi.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she made these arrests of the guy with the beard and all that, the church people, you know, the church protesters that went in. They did all that. That made us feel good. Okay, we get to see Pam Bondi and get these people arrested and all that. That tells me that there is a reason that we're not being shown her arresting political people, because that is not in her purview.
It's not. That's not her job.
Exactly. That tells me that she's allowed to do this. You can go after these. It'll make the American people.
She's handling domestic and maybe even international, like Ryan Welling, the guy that they caught in Mexico City, who's classified as someone like Pablo Escobar or as Cash Patel did, or El Chapo. So this is a former snowboard champion or whatever. I mean, I don't even know who the hell he was, but apparently he did some pretty shady things. And then the Sinaloa cartel was giving him cover, granting him sanctuary, whatever, protecting him. And so now he's been rolled up. So, yes, they're going after these people on all these fronts and stuff. But I think when it comes into the political and the deep dark, in the shadows, so to speak, that's going to be left out of her hands. And I think it's purposely done. And I think that President Trump is involved with that. I think everything that President Trump is involved in right now is the leverage from Epstein. You're 100% right, Marshall. I couldn't agree more. Not only just the leverage from Epstein, it's the leverage from the 2020 stolen election that's all intertwined as well. And I do believe there is something to say about that as we move on. Breaking, the ringleader behind Minnesota's $250 million Feed Our Future Somalian scam. You know, these wonderful people. Amy Bach is now speaking out, claiming Minnesota state officials, including Governor Walz and Keith Ellison, were aware of the fraud. Of course they were aware. They knew.
Ringleader of the $250 million
Ellison's on tape telling Somalis, I will look the other way. Just cut me in.
The state leaders knew taxpayer money was being stolen and did nothing to stop it.
But I guess, how high up do you think the message went that there was fraud? Like, do you think it made its way to the governor's office?
I struggle to believe it didn't. I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this. They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware.
A spokesperson for the state attorney general responding, saying in part, quote, treating the words of a convicted fraudster like Amy Bach as though they have any credibility is shocking. She is a liar, fraudster, and manipulator of the highest order who has never acknowledged or accepted her guilt.
You're on tape, Keith Ellison. Good luck with that. Marshall, the bribery charge. It's not going to change for him. I mean, he's in deep shit.
Guys, I think he's got some, and it's not going to be Pam Bondi. I don't think is going to be involved in these people.
No, I don't think so.
It's going to be a different entity. We'll just.
Holy smokes. Trump officials, Dr. Oz and Jim O'Neill just dropped a Minnesota bombshell. This was today. They found a former linen factory transformed into 400 Medicaid businesses to generate nearly $500 million. You wonder why we have problems paying Medicaid and why the cost is so expensive. It's fraud everywhere. Why did no one in the state figure out that this was a concern? Perplexingly, to me, in a place of this nature and industrial complex, that people would not come to for child care or autism care or transportation support. How is it possible that they would come like this, like an abscess in the heart of Minneapolis, and no one was watching? Let's play a little bit.
A factory, because it was a factory, a linen factory. They made cloth back there, converted to an office building. You'll notice all those little signs there, and there's tons of
shocked. I'm shocked there's gambling going on.
Roughly 400 Medicaid businesses were started in the building behind me over the last several years. They generated about $380 million of billing that you, the taxpayer, were putting up. That means roughly each business had $1 million of billing. It's an industrial area. There's no reason that you have a mother bring her child. You can imagine getting extra business support. An autistic child probably wouldn't want to come here. You hear the noise. It's just not a hospitable place. The question is, how is it possible 400 businesses billing almost $400 million were able to thrive here? What did the owner of the business, this building, think was happening inside? Why did no one in the state figure out this was a concern? And perplexingly to me, in a place of this nature, an industrial complex that people would not come to for child care or autism care or transportation support, how is it possible this could come up like an abscess in the heart of Minneapolis and nobody was watching? I think it's because they weren't looking. They didn't want to know that this problem was happening here. And it's very concerning to me that only now, when there's more federal supervision, are people beginning to ask the tough questions.
Wow. No, they knew. They just looked the other way and let it happen. They knew because they had to get their cut, Marshall. They had to be involved, knowing full well they got to get a piece of the pie. They can't let this go let's just say, unencumbered. They have to be part of the grift itself. So in order to be part of the grift, they have to make sure that they're, financially, let's just say, invested in this. And being financially invested, you have to look the other way, as Keith Ellison has done.
Yeah, I mean, in a warehouse, it's practically a warehouse. Practically. And this thing is just sitting there loaded with, what was it? Well, tons of these fake companies.
Yeah.
There's no way that
over 400 apparently. Over 400.
Yeah.
There's Medicaid. No way. They call it Medicaid shops. It's just.
There's no way the state doesn't know about all that.
Yeah, of course they do. So this is part of the title of the show, The Good Trouble. Tim Walz said this the other day, and it comes out very unhinged. Look at this. Governor Tim Walz yells over a metal gate like a mental patient, like a little bullhorn, and implies the U.S. will torture people in America, whether they protest or not. So people might as well protest. The desperation that this guy has, it's unfurling out. This is deranged and dangerous. I mean, it is.
Served on the China Commission in Congress. Ironically enough,
The China Commission. How much money did you take from China?
We used to bring in Chinese political prisoners, and we would ask them, when we speak up and call out your government, is it bad? And they said, well, in the short run, it's bad because they torture us. But if you don't speak up, they will torture us and protect us. And the idea is right now is we have to be speaking up. We have to call it out. You are doing everything, and our neighbors are doing everything.
I love how Marxists and communists are saying to their own people, you have to speak up or we're going to be executed like the Chinese did to its own people. It's absolutely insane. Like I said, I think the divide in this country is far greater than people really understand. It's not 4 to 6%. I believe it's 20%. And there is no walking it back. There are people that are just completely gone. Again, you take 50 million off the top of the illegal criminals that live in this country, the scum, the rot that suck off our fucking culture and our country and our systems like parasites, and then you interject this 20% that's basically are going to die like zombies, fall off because all the money's going to be cut off, and they're not going to know what to do. They're going to end up like ending themselves, blowing themselves up in some way. And they are concerns. There are concerns for all of us, but I think the problem is when a governor of the state, an AG of a state, again, is basically putting rhetoric out like that. And we're the ones that are violent. You go into a church, interrupting, violating the FACE Act, First Amendment rights to what? Have the right to what? To go and practice and celebrate your religion, and you're interrupted by scum, communist scum, third world scum, Marxists that want to what? And then want to threaten people. And, it's very lucky, and I saw a lot of pastors come out criticizing that pastor and not having security. And maybe that's true. Maybe next time you should hire security to protect, all right, your constituents, the people that go to your congregation in some way. But I don't know how many are there, but you should do that. Your flock, whatever it is, instead of allowing that nonsense to go take forth. So you can make sure that you can block that in some way, Marshall. I mean, is the pastor, could you say the pastor is liable for this, not thinking this through, knowing full well that there's shootings at churches all over the time and they're coming after Christians left and right?
I don't know why they don't lock the doors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, once
after a certain time. Yeah.
Once it starts, they should lock the doors. And, if they want to call a certain person, maybe they got a person that they could hit them up on the phone and say, hey, I'm outside. Can I come in the side door? And then they can do something, work something out like that, an assistant or whatever. But just to leave the place wide open, and you've got all these.
Where's the cameras? Where's the cameras? Where's people doing security? Just like that one church in Minneapolis that got shot up. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Hello back. What's up, Thea? Thank you for the 300 gold pills. What's up, Hogleg? How you doing? How's North Carolina? Thank you for the can and the cookie. Thea dropping 300 gold pills. 9 degrees in Colorado. My fucking God. Wow. When I see these temperatures and I hear these temperatures, and I'm like, wow, I don't know. I mean, I grew up in the Northeast, back in the 80s, late 80s. And I moved to Florida by then, 87, 89. And I'm telling you, I can't imagine living in temperatures or the snow. I haven't left the state in that manner. I mean, I lived in Arizona, beautiful state, too dry for me though. People are too much like LA and Scottsdale. That's what it's like. So I was like, whatever. But I do like to check out other areas. I like to check out Montana, Colorado, certain parts of it, But, the temperatures being that cold, I don't know if I could do it. I mean, once it gets down to past like 40, I'm freezing my fucking ass off. I mean, I can't imagine like, hey, let me take my Cavalier out and protest at like 12 o'clock at night with all these monsters out there when it's minus 20 degrees. It's like, yeah, let's just do that. I mean, what fucking mental giant wants to do this? Only people that are paid provocateurs that are getting something out of it and finding some way that, hey, if you go out at a certain time, we'll give you a little bit more money. There are probably incentives that are laden all over the place we don't know about, but I would be mindful about that. And that's what they're looking for. First arrest hint and how billions in California homeless money vanished without a trace. I'm not going to cover this too much, but an audit of 2024 revealed that no one knew how the homeless money was spent. I wrote about it, and no wonder Gavin Newsom didn't want an audit to take place to track $24 billion. We'll probably find out over $100 billion has been stolen in multiple tiers of scenarios, not just the homeless. This fake train that was going to be built between Sacramento and San Francisco, all the stuff. You name it, the fires, the building, everything over $100 billion. It'll be the largest ever that we'll probably see of fraud, waste, and abuse. But right now we're seeing medical fraud up and down this. We're seeing the daycare fraud, all this stuff. This is going to be a different type of fraud. You're going to see fraud that's going to really, really turn your stomach. I was watching the store, California, Los Angeles, handing out billions to homeless people. When homelessness got worse, no one in the government can answer where all that money went. 170,000 people, as the numbers are, the stats put out, are homeless in California. 170,000. Now the Federal Homelessness, Fraud, and Corruption Task Force has begun running down the homeless scams. Everybody's going to be arrested. I mean, I don't know why people think that, you can walk away from stealing 100 million, 600 million, billions of dollars. We're talking $100 billion, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to walk away from this. The fraud, the theft, the steal, it's over. It's not going to change. No one's going to say, hey, look, if you don't prosecute anybody or any of these people, you don't force these people into submission so they can give up the bigger, let's just say the bigger pikers, so to speak, the bigger people that were in charge, the bigger people where the money went to in some way, into the coffers in their pockets in some way, all these different things. If you don't go after them, no one's going to believe into the system anymore. People are already seeing that they don't want to pay their taxes. They don't want to continue paying anything anymore. I don't either. I mean, everything we see is just what? It's fraud. Everything is what? Fugazi. It's all bullshit. And the people that are wealthy, at least the people that are supposed millionaires, they did it off the grip and the graft, off your blood, sweat, and tears, off American blood, sweat, and tears. And I see these people, third worlders all over the place, and it makes me sick. Makes me want to fucking throw up. Makes me want to do a lot worse. Okay? So yeah, putting people in databases, doing all this other stuff. Look, they have to do something before you see the We Are Rising group of this country want war. We want scalps. Because if you don't fix this problem and deal with it, we will take to the streets. Yeah, we will. And there's a lot of people that we could put bullseyes on that we won't think twice about. And we shouldn't think twice about, because they're useless people who basically, like I said, there's scales of people. You have owners, you have managers, you have workers, and everybody else. And that everybody else is 20%. I know it's horrible to say, but it's the reality. There's about 20% of this population that there's no point. There's no walking it back, no trying to forgive or forget, no fixing. They're just waste. Think about that. That's how they think about you. They're just waste. They're disposable. I'll put it that way, Marshall.
They're straight up communists, man. That's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have these meetings. I saw one on Twitter earlier that people invaded their meeting, and they didn't want everybody seeing a videotape of them having their little communist little meeting.
Right.
You want to be a communist, man? Go move to a communist country.
So we saw this. So the Florida nurse fired from the vile TikTok rant targeting pregnant White House press secretary. This was disgusting. This person from Boca Raton, Florida hospital, okay, as a labor and delivery nurse. Her name was Lexi Lola, formerly a labor and delivery nurse at Baptist Health Boca Raton. So Boca Raton Regional Hospital said in a video, I hope you fucking rip from bow to stern and never shit normally again, you cunt. My God. This is exactly what we're dealing with. And then we're told that we have to restrain ourselves. And we're told that we gotta watch what we say. And we're told this. And we're told that. There is no quarter for these people. There's not a noose big enough for these people. There's not a piñata that you can stuff them in there. You could beat it to a pulp until it bleeds. There is not enough things out there that we can't do. Again, I will say 20% of this, what we have in this country, is completely lost and disposable. And that's how you have to think about this way. Because if you don't finish them off, they will come for you. They will find every way, just like they did during COVID, just like they did during January 6th, just like they did during the stolen election. They will find a way to come for you. And I think in some way, the reckoning has to happen. We have to see these people through the door for them to make sure that they never enter back. Maybe we send them to Canada so they can all suicide themselves, because apparently that's what that country likes to do to its citizens. Marshall, your thoughts?
Look at the comments that these people make.
Yeah.
And what they're saying is, when we get back in power and we're Democrat, and we're the Democrat.
You're dead. Yeah. They're saying no. They're saying you're dead.
Oh, I thought you meant my. Yeah.
No. They're saying we're dead. We're dead.
Literally saying we're going to round all them up.
Yeah.
I mean, they are literally talking like the Bolsheviks, or in quote unquote Nazis, which is a false narrative, but they're talking in this manner. We will round you up. We're going to, who's the one doing it? Or we're not doing that. But they, in their mind, we are doing that to them. But we're not. This is how they live in a fantasy world. And the mental thing is off the charts with these people. So that's it.
All right, moving on. So here we go. Jack Smith, we're going to get into it. He didn't say about paid confidential informants, which I'll get into. It's crazy. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan, who only gets to the bottom of bourbon, never really gets to the bottom of anything, just like James Comer, did a good job today. Yesterday, Jordan noted that at least $20,000 went to a single source to review video and photos of January 6, 2021 breach of the U.S. Capitol as part of Smith's investigation. He answered that he couldn't remember if there were more such expenses. So they used the $35 million to pay 70% of their salaries. And then the other one, they were paying out to confidential informants and all these people that could not be in some way utilized as viable, credible sources. And so they were paying people individually, confidential human sources, that we don't know their names. We don't have his stuff. They said that $20,000 was a payment from the FBI to a source he approved. My collection was regarding that, which was not a payment from me. I was approving a payment by the FBI to a CHS who was reviewing video and photography. Jordan asked the identity of the source, but Smith said he did not know. Wow, gets more ugly. So a lot of that money. So this was also another grift and a graft. So while they were single-handedly throwing you in jail and violating your 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever your constitutional rights, to get a lawyer, reading and Miranda, all the stuff. They were bilking high bills, paying off sources in some way to go through this, meticulously find about 1,800 to 2,000 people to arrest, put them in a hole so they can never come out. It's pretty disgusting. Let's cover this right now. I got more of this. I watched this thing. I spent some time watching it live, and then I went back to watch some of the other stuff, and I was very surprised more people are not focused on this. You should be, because this all goes back to 2020 stolen election, and Jack Smith's one of these people that deserves to go to jail. In fact, he needs to be hung for treason. Jack Smith investigation cost the taxpayers $35 million, all based on a scam, targeting enemies with 65% of that $35 million paying their salaries. Wow.
Your office. I do not recall as I sit here now, but I know that pursuant to, I believe it's the special counsel regulations, reports were issued each 6 months detailing how much
we gathered at $35 million. And what I want to know is how much of that $35 million of taxpayer money did you give to confidential human sources? We know you gave $20,000 to someone. It just got reported last week. How much more money did you pay confidential people we don't know about, with American tax money?
We don't know about. Think about that.
My recollection regards the $20,000, which was not a payment from me. It was me approving a payment by the FBI to a confidential human source who was
Who was it?
reviewing video.
You don't know who it
and
was?
specific evidence.
He doesn't know.
I do not know the identity of the source.
But you
What I-
approved
How many other payments went
$20,000.
to this source or other sources?
As I sit here, I do not know the answer to that question. My role as special counsel.
So he doesn't know the answer to this. All he knows he approved of the money transfers for these confidential human sources. He doesn't know how many there are. Alita says, did you hear Trump say they were all executed just fine? My ears perked up. No, I didn't. I really thought Jack would have given better performance. Interesting. You thought that. I thought he gave the performance that was, I think, that we were all expecting, because the Republicans were very eager. Their ears perked up because they were also part of these, let's just say, recordings. They were being singled out by the department after January 6th. A lot of these people, a lot of these congressmen had their information, their phone logs, their phones, all subpoenaed, all taken, all under the authority of this fucking ass clown. And so they all want retribution. They talked about McCarthy and trying to blackmail McCarthy. And that was the other argument. It's that you wonder why McCarthy lost his position later on, because a lot of people felt that he was somehow being blackmailed because of this. Let's play the rest of this.
Counsel,
$35 million, and you're giving money to people the country doesn't know who they are, and you're giving
No
their hard-earned
idea.
money to these folks?
No
The
idea.
main question I have, too, with this is, why'd you have to do it? You subpoenaed bank records from the RNC, phone records from members of Congress. You got subpoenas for bank records for people sitting right there on the front row. Why did you have to pay people for information when you
Time,
could
Mr.
subpoena them and get
Chairman.
it?
Time has expired.
Time has expired. You can answer the question. Country'd like to know why you had to do it.
My recollection and understanding is the payment, the $20,000 that I approved, was for a confidential human source to assist in the review of video and photographic evidence showing people who were attacking the Capitol, attacking police officers, obstructing the proceeding, and seeing if we could prove that some of those people had come directly.
That wasn't my question, but
Yeah. So what they were doing is they were hiring people inside the FBI, maybe outside, maybe intelligence people, paying them $20,000 so they can review video footage, and so that they can put together a database of information so they can afford to this, so they can arrest all these people. So if you walk by taking a shit at a dumpster, well, you're guilty. If you were just passing by, you're a grandma, you did nothing. They wanted to make sure that they were paying people, not just there, working through and with, and probably outside the FBI sources. I would say probably intel sources, so they can track and trace all these people and then make sure they were held liable or accountable, or let's just say illegally liable and accountable. And thus they can what? Throw these people in a hole, label them seditious like they've done. I mean, they treated these people like enemy combatants. Why are we not going to treat all these people that are going to be put in this Palantir database, which I think it's going to be fantastic? I can't wait when they come stormtrooping in to knock on the doors. Oh, remember like a year ago? Yeah, you tried to run over an ICE officer, and like you and your whole family are in there, and there's a bunch of people. Well, they're just going to arrest you while you're eating dinner, and you're gone. You're a domestic terrorist. Oh, by the way, we tracked your money. You were getting money from this guy, money from this group. This whole thing is going to be a RICO, let's just say, orchestration. They're going to go finding the money behind the scenes. But as for Jack Smith, my God, this whole thing with Jack Smith, I am shocked. A lot of good commentary in the chat. I really thought, I know that there's a lot of people like they thought that this thing would be more epic. It would blow up more and stuff. But you know what? It hasn't. And I was very surprised because I think in some way, the revelations of what Jack Smith had told the committee really spun everything for a loop. It's almost like what Nacion was saying. He's like, his performance was so weak, he looked like he had no choice to give way to the arguments that were put forward because they had the goods on what he did.
The whole thing with Greenland, I think, took the spotlight off. It
Yeah.
kind of took away from this
Mm-hmm.
because it was all kind of going on at the same time. I did watch this hearing.
Well, it's the lead balloon, the lead balloon theory.
Yeah, and
You know-
I did watch this hearing,
Mhm.
and This guy knows he knows he's toast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything he did was just befuddled. I mean, he
Yeah.
was like, he was lost. He perjured himself numerous times
Yeah,
during this whole
it did seem like that. Someone asked me what it is. Well, the theory of the lead balloon theory is basically it's like when something goes over like a lead balloon that fails to amuse or impress. This is one example. His testimony failed to amuse and impress. All right. It's a joke and an ideal that fails miserably. Immediate calls for disapproval, like a sinking ship that falls flat. That was his testimony. That's number one. You could also put into the idea about all the naysayers and black pillars saying, Trump's not going to get Greenland. That's never going to happen. He's not going to make Canada the 51st state. Well, that's another lead balloon. It's an idiom. Go look it up and you'll understand what that means. That's why I tied that in that, because a lot of people are now falling flat on their face because they're completely wrong. They've been 100% wrong the whole time, but they're doubling down on stupid because it's all about Epstein. It's all about the client list, which doesn't exist. It's all about this that doesn't exist. It's all about these 6 million files, 6 million pages of documents that are being released slowly, meticulously, that have been blacked out. Well, you know what? Well, we had the JFK stuff like that for a long time. Did you learn anything from the JFK files? Not really. I didn't learn anything. And so at this point, what do? What are we to do? Are they going to release classified information? President Trump is the only one who can unclassify it. He's the only one can do it. You think he's going to do it? No. He's using it as leverage. Cassie Hutchinson wasn't ruled out as a witness. Smith admitted on Thursday and prior closed-door testimony elements of the former Trump aide Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, such as her claim that Trump lunged to grab the car's steering wheel, were based on hearsay. Yet Smith didn't rule out calling her as a witness. Hutchinson was a key witness for the January 6th committee. We're going to put her on the witness stand. If you ever got to a trial, Jordan S., we had not made final determinations yet of who we're going to call as a witness. Wow. I'm not going to play this. I got other stuff. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy posed no risk that warranted hiding subpoenas for his phone records. Why were they doing it? During an exchange with Republican Texas Brandon Gill, Smith agreed former Speaker of House McCarthy was not a flight risk. This is just one justification for a non-disclosure order, which Smith obtained to keep his request for nearly 3 months' worth of McCarthy's toll records secret. Smith sought toll records, which included detailed records for inbound and outbound calls. They were looking to see if he was connected to President Trump and if any of those calls or any of those things had popped up, because they wanted voice recordings. For more than a dozen Republican members of Congress, Verizon complied with the subpoenas, though AT&T did not. 16 days after becoming the highest-ranking Republican in the House of Representatives, you subpoenaed his toll records? Wow. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered a violation of speech or debate clause? Smith said he does not. He noted that the risks that lead to securing non-disclosure order aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. No, they wanted to find out his connection to President Trump. Listen to this.
Mr. Smith, in January of 2023, did you subpoena then Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy's toll records?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yes, you did. And the subpoena covered the time period between November 2020 and January 2021. Is that right?
I'm sorry, sir. Could you say that again?
We're not going to delay like this. The subpoena covered the time period between November of 2020 and January 2021. How many days after Kevin McCarthy was sworn in as Speaker did you subpoena his records?
I don't recall, but those two things had nothing to do with one.
It was 16 days after becoming the highest ranking Republican in the House of Representatives. You subpoenaed his toll records. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered a violation of the speech or debate clause?
I do not, and I want to be clear that the toll
You were
records-
collecting months worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker, all around the time of a major vote. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause to me, and I think most people agree with me. And Speaker McCarthy had no recourse, did he? Because you issued a non-disclosure order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The toll record, the non-content toll record subpoenas We did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did. And let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about
Was Speaker
obstruction.
McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
Wow.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be
You
associated.
think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
the question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House?
If anybody interrupted me and I'm a congressman, I'd say, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. No, you have to have decorum. No, you don't. They are purposely trying to what? Block that information. And listen to what his comment is.
This is a flight risk. You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that
they were utilizing those logs so they can find out who he was talking to. And one of those being President Trump. That's it. That's the point, Marshall.
Yeah, and his that lady in the red behind him, his fluffer, she looked really nervous.
Right.
His Israeli fluffer. She looked like she was nervous as she could be. And I have to give credit to Clark Kent because that's what this guy looks like. I wish he was my congressman. That guy he's a total badass.
Yeah.
And he seems like
He's out of Texas, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's married to Dinesh D'Souza's daughter.
What?
Is he? I think he is. Look him up. Brandon Gill. Look up Brandon Gill. I think he's a congressman from Texas, and I think he's married. I think he might be married to Dinesh D'Souza's daughter. I don't know.
As soon as I compliment the guy, I get this.
I could be wrong. So Jim Jordan, FBI searched Barron Trump's bedroom during Jack Smith's raid. Oh my God, you got to listen to this. Nukes are going off with Jack Smith. Jim Jordan's opening statement just laid waste to the crook. Well worth the watch. Listen to this. This was great.
It was always about politics.
We're not playing 9 minutes of it, though.
And to get President Trump, they were willing to do just about anything. January 7th, 2023, Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House. 16 days later, Jack Smith issues a subpoena for his phone records. Phone records from 2 years prior for a 2-month time frame, Election Day 2020 to January 7th, 2021. Jack Smith and the Biden Justice Department get the phone records of the top Republican in government, the guy second in line to the president. They know who he called, who called him, when the call took place, and how long it lasted. You can pattern an individual's life. They know who the speaker talked to before big votes, who he talked to after big votes, when he calls his colleagues, when he calls his family. And to add insult to injury, they go to the judge with the subpoena for a gag order on the carrier. AT&T, don't tell your customer, the Speaker of the House, that you just gave his phone calls to Jack Smith and Joe Biden. And here's the kicker. They say to the court, we need this gag order because he's a flight risk. Someone might tamper with witnesses or with evidence. Are you kidding me? Over the next few hours, we're going to hear a lot of yelling and screaming, I assume, from the other side. But we should never forget what took place, what they did to the guy, we the people, elected president twice. It all started in 2016 when they spied on his campaign, lied to the court, and then spied on. Then it was impeachment too. No secret hearings here. We said, were these meetings in person, on the phone, or did you have a Zoom meeting? Couldn't remember. We finally just asked him, did you really come to D.C. and meet people? He said, oh, yeah, I came. And I billed the taxpayers. I know I came. Just no idea who he talked to or what he did. And then there was the raid on President Trump's home, where they searched Barron's room and the First Lady's closet. in our deposition with Stephen D'Antuono, head of the FBI Washington field office, he told us none of the normal process, none of the normal protocol was followed in the investigation. He said, first of all, the case was run out of DC. Normally you run it out of the Miami field office. No, we're going to run out of DC. He said he recommended, and the people in the FBI at the time in the Washington field office recommended they give the president notice before they do the search, or at least when they got there, before they start the search, call the president's lawyers, ask them to come there and meet them and conduct the search together. Again, the answer from Maine Justice was no.
Wow. I honestly, I mean, when you really look at what they did, which was an unprecedented political move, motivated, the Biden administration invaded the home of chief political opponent, accused the administration of employing the third world tactics. It's pretty bad stuff, and these people should pay a high price. They went through Barron Trump's video games. They searched Melania's underwear drawers and all her other personals. Pretty disgusting in some way. There's other detailed information that some of the stuff was soiled, but they're not putting that out per se because they don't want to cover that. What did they do in Barron's room? What were they looking in Barron's room for? I mean, honestly, Marshall, pretty gross stuff. But again, on we got one hand, we got all these psychopaths that are impeding, blocking federal, ICE agents from doing their job. All right, and then on the other hand, you have corrupt FBI agents going to a former president's house and just basically violating every oath that they took, utilizing these, let's just say, subpoenas that were, let's just say, unlawfully drawn. And we know that. We know that from the 11th Circuit Court. We know that from Eileen Cannon. We know what they did, and now it's blowing back on them. Question is, what will happen to them? Will they be prosecuted as well? Will they be part of that larger systematic jury that's going on in Fort Pierce? I hope so. I mean, if we're looking for accountability and stuff, I don't want to leave any room to chance. I want these people done. I want them hung, shot, killed. Dude, honestly, what they have done, what they put us in, and where we are now, there's no forgiveness. You can't just walk this back and say, well, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have done. Fuck no. They're going to do it again. They will do it again. You have to make examples. And again, if you want to hang people, put them in the town square. That's the only way that people will get the drift, knowing full well that they could be next. That's why this database thing that's taking place, all these people, they're going to get a knock at the door one day. Unlawful enemy combatants, domestic terrorists, they're all fucked. Especially if you've been taking money. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, I still can't believe what they did to President Trump by raiding his personal home down in Mar-a-Lago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you really think about it, the reality is that's never happened. As far as I know, not in my lifetime, and I don't think I've never read anywhere in any history book or anything that anything like this has ever happened.
Would USA donating 817 gold pills? Need more gold pill love. Support the boy stream. Thank you so much. No dirt slop. Nope. But we're seeing a lot of dirt slop. Hoglike 71 gifted the cookie. Thank you. Thank you, Thea, for donating 300 gold pills. My opinion, he's not who he appears. He's a white wolf. Oh, okay. So you think that he was there and he was put there in place to make a whole, let's just say, hullabaloo about everything, and then help to facilitate everything that has transpired so we can show the public how corrupt the Democrats were employing this guy that you're calling a white wolf, maybe a gray wolf. I don't know. Interesting thought. Haven't thought about that per se. Curious Cat gifted a cookie. Yes, hello. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Questions, comments, or concerns. If you want to help out Marshall, ko-fi.com/SurfDog74. Marshall, that's an interesting thought. Do you believe he's a white wolf or a gray wolf? You think he was brought in there to showcase? Again, this is a theatrical masterpiece playing out. Was he brought there as not a protagonist, but an antagonist to exercise this duplicity on toward and move this ball moving slowly. So this would creep into the 2024 stolen election. Remember, August 8th, 2022, his house was raided. So the question is, was he brought in as a ringer? And I'll use that term loosely, but it's a good thought, Thea. Thank you for the 300 gold pills. I haven't thought about that. I really don't think about Jack Smith too much because he definitely comes from an outside background, very shadowy, shady. But it would make sense in some way if they were utilizing him to tag him to showcase how far they're willing to go, knowing full well they can control this in some way, knowing full well this will lead to other people, toggle in other people. It's a good exercise in fertility when you're actually trying to break this down. How far did his entrails, his entanglements go that led to other people that they were able to go back and track and trace? That's a very interesting.
I think it's an interesting theory.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it. I don't. I think that
got me thinking about it.
I mean, it's a good. It could be. It's very possible.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm leaning towards.
Everybody's saying he's a double agent now. Nacian says he's a double agent. Okay. Look, I said I'm open for interpretation here. So let's see what you got to say.
Brett. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to.
I don't think
attack your point of view. I think anybody at this point is trying to put forth an observation. Please do it because let's face it, we are so behind the obfuscation of everything that it's very hard to really pierce in through so much of the muck and the mire. But it is a good way to look at this in some way, a very good way, and I think that's an excellent oversight. Good one, Thea. Lawfare. Jim Jordan forced Jack Smith to admit he never corroborated his star witness claims against President Trump. No backup, no confirmation, even refuting witness existed. This was key too. And so I guess this goes to what Thea is saying in some way. Was he a double agent? Was he being utilized as this to, muck this thing up? Jack Smith's failure to corroborate star witness false testimony during the hearing. Jack Smith conceded he never confirmed his star witness claims against President Trump. Never confirmed it. You're the lead prosecutor in this case, and you never confirmed star witnesses in this. Basically, you're going to go to trial with all this stuff, but you left it open-ended. There was no inquiries. There was no questionings, interrogatories. You left it open for interpretation that there was nobody there as a star-made witness to bring down Trump in any way. You just let that hanging out there as low-hanging fruit, Marshall. How is that you're a star prosecutor in a star chamber that's operating in such a very deep, dark scenario, all right, that's so Byzantine that you're controlling the actual, let's just say, information and flow. You're paying out confidential operators for what? So they can find evidence, find information and stuff, go lock people up. You're trying to bring people in, roll them through the courts, but you don't have a star witness, any star witness that you can confirm in some way that did anything. It's nuts, man. This leads to me to show me Thea is correct, that this whole thing was fugazi.
It might be. I mean, hey, who knows? Right. I know the look on his handler's face behind him, the lady in the red dress.
Yep.
Didn't look too happy.
I don't think any of them did.
He might not even be on their side.
I look at it as a star chamber scenario. I mean, this whole thing was definitely done behind the throes of deep, dark shadows to operate from. And they never really had anything to really move forward with. And all this stuff was a lot of bravado and bluster. And it was just basically nipping off people left and right so that they would probably squeal. And in some way, going back to Casey Hutchinson's testimony, did anybody believe that she was telling the truth about that? Or was she purposely lying to pull them in and see what they were willing to do? Something to think about. I'm not really sure about her testimony per se. Did she really turn tail? Did she become a black hat in this way? Or was she always there playing both sides? I don't know. Just a thought to think about. The homicide rate declined sharply. This is the bitter pill, I believe, some way. And this is also through into what I was saying about how we're discussing the idiom that I was talking about, the lead balloon. Homicide rate declined sharply in dozens of U.S. cities, a new report shows. Data collected from 35 American cities. I'll blow this up. I think this is big. But there's a caveat to it, and we'll get to it. Shows a 21% decrease in homicide rate from 24 to 25, translating to about 922 fewer homicides last year. That's all it is. According to a report from the Independent Council on Criminal Justice, the report released Thursday tracked 13 crimes and recorded drops last year in 11 of those, including carjackings, shoplifting, aggravated assaults, and others. And these are also crimes that may go unreported. Think about it. You might not report it. Drug crime saw a small increase over last year, and sexual assaults stayed even between 24 and 25. Experts said the cities and the states beyond those surveyed showed similar declines in homicides and other crimes. Now, remember when we went through with the chief of police of D.C., who resigned for fudging the numbers, okay? Are we saying that in all these other cities, this type of scenario is taking place summarily? Is it possible? But they said it's too early to tell what is prompting the change, even as elected officials at all levels, both Democrats and Republicans, have been claiming credit. So they're taking credit on something that they're not backing up, and they can't prove one way or another. They're just basically saying the murder rate. They're not saying about other violent crimes that are going unreported. Adam Gelb, the president and CEO of Council, nonpartisan think tank for criminal justice policy and research, said that after the historic increases in violence during the COVID-19 pandemic, this year brought historic decreases. The study found some cities recorded decades lower numbers, with overall homicide rate dropping to its lowest. It's a dramatic drop to an absolutely astonishing level. As we celebrate it, we need to unpack and try to understand it. There's never one reason crime goes up and down. Okay, I'll leave it at that. What's your thoughts? Because I have other details. Would you say, is it part and parcel, Marshall, of the actual what? Removal of the third world scum, the rot that just hangs around this country, that permeates this country, that it's part of the disease culture that we live in from the Biden administration? Would you say that we're exercising all this criminal rot that has snuck in our country, and we're throwing them out, incarcerating and throwing them out? Is it part of that, or is it something else?
I think it's part of it. Absolutely. I mean, we've got a major problem in this country. And I think a lot of all of this, what we're seeing right now, especially, is and I hate to beat this thing, but it's all a part of regular dummies out there, the NPCs, if you want to call them that, to see what the hell is going on in their own country. I mean, it's hard enough to get anybody to pay attention to anything.
Yeah, I know.
And I think this is all of this, even the Jack Smith thing, is a possibility. It could be all part of this theatrical piece that we're watching to finally get people at least to 75 or 80% to go, you know what? We've been living in a really fucked up world. And
we have. I mean, Elon Musk puts this out. Turns out that jailing or deporting repeat violent offenders greatly reduces the murder rate. Yeah. Murders plummeted more than 20% from the year. Single largest then. Yeah, but we got ways to go. There are still cities still allowing criminal scum to just leave, just go right out the door. And so is it part of it? Yeah, I think it's a part of it. I don't think necessarily that the numbers are on the up and up either. Maybe the murder rate that they can prove, but all the other violent offenses that are taking place are not accounted for. Some people don't report rapes or robberies or aggravated assault. They just don't do it. They move on. They feel like the police aren't going to do anything. It's just going to be written down, and it's going to be qualified as just a number, and no one's going to really think twice about it. So I'm not necessarily sure. Are they actually doing their due diligence in making this? It's a good thing. It sounds good. It's a feel-good thing. Is it a measure of proof that we can go through? I call it the bitter pill. Because, simultaneously, there are people that bitch and moan, the naysayers, the black pillars, the drowners, I call them, the water drowners. They pull you back in. They try to hold your head. The dunkers hold your head underwater because they say, oh, you got a couple of arrests here. You got this coming down. But still, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough for them. Never going to be enough. So you give us Epstein and everything else, never going to be enough. That's what it is. And a lot of these fence sitters that are moving into a situation where they're not going to be voting in the primary because they've moved off of, Democrat, Republican, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, you don't even want to be independent. You want to be unaffiliated. So you'll have an opportunity maybe one day to vote in a general election. You're not going to be voting in a primary, which that would be necessary and germane to your scenario. I want to vote in a primary because there are people that are going to run for governor that I don't want. I want to make sure my vote gets out for that primary. That's a good example. Or municipalities in some way. There are many different things that are happening. And, that's fine. That's your choice and stuff like that. But don't sit there and tell us that blah, 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 this and that. Look, you should be asking the question, is the government going to shut down by the 30th? They're not passing the SAVE Act right now. The Senate might not pass it. You heard the stripper firm for Israel come out and say, "Hey, look, it's we're probably going to shut down the House if they don't pass the SAVE Act." And there you go. So the question is does that bleed into January 30th with no funding with anything? It's possible, probable. I mean, Trump's saying right now they'll shut down the government again. Okay. Does anybody really care? No. No one really cares. You know why? Because no one really has any faith in Congress. And I think that's the point. It's not just that. I don't think anybody has the wherewithal to want to have another election this year. They really don't. There are maybe certain contingent people that want this to happen. But when you look at it and you can see the criminal rot and the fraud and all this stuff, is that how can we systematically really think we could get through this when nothing's been really fixed? At least nothing that on the peripheral that we've seen, or nothing that we've seen up front. Maybe behind the scenes there are things that are set in place. But I'm not holding my breath. J.D. Vance just dropped the mic. When you don't see chaos in the rest of the USA, the natural conclusion is that it's not what ICE is doing in Minneapolis. It's what Minneapolis authorities are doing to prevent ICE from doing their jobs, and that's exactly what's happening. This was excellent. I got to give him props on this.
Don't see the same level of chaos in Minneapolis. The natural conclusion is that it's not what ICE is doing in Minneapolis, it's what Minneapolis authorities are doing to prevent ICE from doing their jobs. And that's exactly what's happening. So let me give you just a couple of very real world examples of some of the problems that we face. So let's say you have a sex offender. We've arrested a number of sex offender illegal aliens in Minneapolis just in the last couple of months. But that person, because they're an illegal alien, we don't know where they live. We don't know their address. If local authorities were cooperating with us, it would be easier to send an ICE agent to the person's house to arrest them, to have local law enforcement protecting our immigration officers. They throw the sex offender in the back of a car, deport that person, throw them in jail, whatever, and then they go home safely to their families. That's not what's happening. What's happening instead is that the Minneapolis authorities are refusing to tell us where that sex offender lives. Why are they protecting sex offenders? That's anybody's guess, but it's crazy. Meanwhile, the local police are being told by the mayor, don't help them. So if there are protests and there are people trying to not just protest, but interfere with what ICE is doing, we don't have the support of local law enforcement to keep the peace. So when I talk about lowering the temperature, those are the two things that we want those local authorities to do.
And you know what? That it's a perfect read in for dummies. If anybody can't process what he just said, well, then you're a schmuck. You're probably one of the people protesting. Great overview. Perfectly summed up, Marshall. I mean, let's face it. I don't know what you're saying, Nathan. So many possibilities. He could have been a plant. You're talking about Jack Smith. Unqualified and dirty. Okay. I saw what you said, Trustee Turner. He'll never get credit for 85% of things. No, he won't. He will never get credit. President Trump will never get credit for anything because that's the bottom line. That's the way things are. And it's sad. You want to know how things are escalated? Let me show you this. This comes from the People's Voice, and I found this. This was interesting because look, what he just said, the vice president, this is clearly a stigma that's now following suit, spreading like syphilis. It's going to unfurl out, and it's going to get ugly. People are going to die. New York PD detectives were refused emergency medical care because NYU staff, New York University staff, hospital, thought they were ICE. Are you fucking kidding me? So that's an excuse to refuse treatment, which is a violation of the law, by the way. I mean, they're going to be sued. Just so you know, we were at 2 NYPD detectives who refused medical attention Saturday night, Sunday morning. NYU, because of nurses and doctors, thought they were ICE. Every single medical professional involved should have their license revoked. Yeah, they should be. They should be fired. They should be brought up on charges. That hospital should be sued. The hospital's publicly stated that the care was ultimately provided and that regrets how the situation was handled. One day you might have to go to the emergency room and they're going to find out that you're A, B, or C, and they're going to refuse treatment. This is where we are. And they're telling us trust the science. You can't even trust the doctors to fucking tend to you and care of you because they're more worried about you being an illegal citizen or you being an ICE agent. They care more about that than ever. Question is, are they getting paid to do that? Is that hospital involved in some type of corruption? Are they part of the fraud and the blackmail? NYPD leadership confirmed they were in contact with the hospital administration, and the Detectives Endowment Association criticized the treatment of the officers. Fucking disgrace. Fucking disgrace. That's absolutely said. These people should be fired. They should be removed. Their license should be suspended. The hospital should be investigated. I mean, that is absolutely, you know what? And it should not stop. And it's not going to stop there. They'll have us out in all these different places. They eventually will take power, put us all in databases in our face, and they'll tell us, hey, you know what? This person supported Trump. He was part of the 2020, January 6th. He supports ICE. He hates illegal scum. Yeah. He doesn't get medical care. That's what's going to happen. If we don't put these people on the ground or hang them swinging from a fucking tree, they will ultimately end us. Yeah, I believe so.
You know, it's just like this whole thing with the Leering Center and these frauds with Minnesota and all that. The medical industry itself is probably one of the most corrupt and most fraudulent industries that are out there.
Next to the insurance companies.
And they're part of it. They're all part of it. Everything is a test. That's all money for them. They're not trying to help you. The best thing I can say, if you're a conservative, is study up on self-help, any kind of naturopathic, all these things where you don't have to deal with these people. Because the medical industry, and I'll tell you, they are loaded with leftists. Be very careful if you go into the hospital, act like you're gay, whatever. I mean, I'm not joking. Be careful if you have to go into the hospital or any of that. Don't talk politics, act like you don't know nothing, play it out like that. Because these people are dangerous.
Yep. No, it's true. Here we go. I'm going to play this. We're going to end very soon, about 5 minutes. Justin, assistant director, says men spent hours comforting that 5-year-old child that fake news keeps lying that was detained. Terrible story. Let's listen to him.
ICRO conducted targeted enforcement operation to arrest Adrian Alexander Conejo Arias, an illegal alien who was released back into the interior of the United States by the previous administration. When officers approached Conejo Arias, he and his child were in a vehicle. Arias fled from law enforcement on foot, abandoning his child in the middle of winter in a vehicle.
And how is that ICE's fault? You left your child. You obviously care more about you not being arrested than securing what? Your child. Your child's well-being. I told you, they're going to either be used as shields or they're going to be what? They're dead weight. What a fucking disgrace. I have no sympathy, no empathy. I have nothing for these people. I hate these people. They are the scum of the earth. They replicate like cockroaches. First of all, is this even the guy's father or the kid's son? I don't know. Is it? Or did they sneak in the back door from Ecuador? But I have no respect for these people. None. Just like the people I have no respect for going out at like minus 20-degree weather, fucking bringing their 2-year-old son or daughter out there to what? So they can protest ICE agents that are there to what? Protect those kids. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. I'm going to move forward with this because I got more. I don't want to. It's a long-winded
These women
thing, but
always say when the heat comes on and the cops are rounding them up and the cops are arresting them and they pull them over and all that shit, the first thing the women do is, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
I have a child. I have
Yeah.
a baby.
Yeah,
I have a
they-
this. They do it all the time.
Mhm.
It's just disgusting, Brett.
When is that before or after you aborted it? And then you
Yeah.
just fucking, you're
As
so
if they
retarded.
care,
you,
right?
yeah, you don't care. So the lawyer for the father who abandoned his son in Minneapolis says they entered in 2024 through the Biden era CBP One app. They could have used the CBP app to take $1,000 and leave, but they chose to stay illegally. There you go.
Did enter the United States at a port of entry to seek asylum through the CBP One app at the Brownsville border crossing. So they did everything right when they came in. They used the app, they made an appointment, they came to the border and presented themselves to Customs and Border Patrol. They've shared all of their information with the government and they were following the process. These are not illegal aliens. They came properly, they came legally and are pursuing a legal.
They're pursuing, but the bottom line is, why didn't they leave then? They're not legal. They came through a fraudulent app that was set up so people can walk through the back door. The idea that these people are legal in some way, there's no documentation. They haven't gone through the process in some way. They're going to be picked up, and you know what? They'll look at their background in some way, and most likely they'll be given an option. Take the money, go home, and then reapply later because that app has been shut down. Curious One gifted the cookie. God bless you guys and the children. Thank you. Would USA gifted the cookie. Hogleg71 dropping the cookie. And Trusty Turnip dropping the cookie. Thank you so much. Let's continue on. But I think that's embarrassing in some way, Marshall, that this whole type of scenario is taking place that, you know, like, well, he came through the legal channels. No, it was illegal. All right. That app has been shut down. That portal's been shut down. And those people came in illegally through the back door that no one has systematically said it was viable or right. But all of a sudden now the lawyer is saying, well, if they would have just left, they would have collected the money. Look, give them the money, let them go home. Okay? But they can't stay here. Just inside the facility where the 5-year-old saved by ICE was allowed to stay following his illegal father abandoning him, ditching him. That should be a crime too. Obama and Biden put kids in cages. Trump has children in illegals. State-of-the-art education centers. Look at this. Looks pretty comfortable to me. They got computers. They got books. They got classes here. Sports facilities.
Damn, man.
I bet you they got more here than they do in their own fucking backyard
Enjoying the
from
breeze right
third
now, that it's
world
real cool.
shithole
That's
they came
right.
from. Right. And they put them in cages. And then here, what Trump's doing. But see, these are the things that, again, that's why the media continues to lie, the agitprop that continues to push forward in some way. And I think that's unfortunate. But these types of things need to come out. Need to come out in some way, Marshall. And I think it's sad. All right, we're almost done, so let me fast forward to this. These are a couple of things that I wanted to showcase you before we leave tonight. These are some interesting discussions. I don't know if anybody heard this. Let me turn down the music or put down something over here. Listen to this. Musk says he's the only person on the planet would know if aliens are living among us. Listen to this.
Are there aliens among us? And I'll say that I am one, but
or you're from the future.
They don't believe me.
Okay.
But I think if anyone would know if there are aliens among us, it would be me. And we have 9,000 satellites up there, and not once have we had to maneuver around an alien spaceship. So I'm like, I don't know. Bottom line is, I think we need to assume that life and consciousness is extremely rare, and it might only be us. And if that's the case, then we need to do everything possible to ensure that the light of consciousness is not extinguished. I'm often asked,
What do you think about that? I mean, is he fucking with the crowd or what? I mean, is he messing with them, or does he really believe that he's from the future? I mean, they're laughing, they're making a joke. I mean, the idea about consciousness and life is very interesting commentary, but I thought it got a back seat to a couple of things in some way. But it seems so odd that he would say something on a forum like that or at a forum like that. And I can't tell if he's joking or not. He basically says that he hasn't seen any proof or relevant information that there is, but everybody else says there is in some way. Even President Trump says there is. So what is he doing? Is he blackpilling people? What is he trying to convince people about? Is he saying, look over here and not over there? Maybe think about consciousness at a higher level, that it has something more to do about interdimensional than we're possibly thinking about. He didn't go into that. He's not joking, Hogleg. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's not joking. He really believes that. He thinks he's a future portal jumper in some way. Very odd. Very odd indeed.
Well, he said that there's no proof or evidence of any spaceships or anything up there.
Right.
That's the key part of that conversation.
Right.
That I noticed. He's not talking. He's saying there ain't nothing up there. There ain't no proof up there. Where is it? It's on this plane that we're on.
Yep.
And it's all spread out. So I mean,
no, I
that's
agree
the way
with
I
that.
take it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought about that too, and I'm like, what's he talking about? Is he saying that there's nothing up there? Because there's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing that we can actually.
Mars is over there.
Yeah, there's nothing there that we can actually tether to. That everything that we're saying, or that's why they're laughing. I think in some way that's part of the head scratcher in some way. That it's we're talking the lower orbit, things that are in our actual purview per se. That's what we might be mentioning. Where let's just say the outer ice shell that some people are basically referencing these days that we're going to probably see in our lifetime, which will be a very interesting thing if that happens. Here we go. I'll drop the gold pills. So Tucker Carlson talks about why white people are being eliminated. Fascinating. I'm glad I'm not the only person talking about it, that people are really recognizing the fact is this is a real systemic problem.
Is that whites around the world are being eliminated, and I would like to know why.
The people running the society are anti-white, and they've been able to persuade or intimidate the entire legal system to operate in that anti-white way. Anti-white in this case really means anti-American, because the whites are Americans. The people who signed the Declaration of Independence, that's who Americans are.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought, Marshall. What's your thoughts about that?
Man, I tell you, I mean, he's exactly right. And what really gets me is that there is no very few influencers out there that are talking about. Nick Fuentes talks about this shit.
Well,
and a few others.
No one really talks about the fact.
Nobody really talks about it. And it's
President Trump talks about it.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing, and so does Elon about South Africa and all that.
Oh, he talks about it.
Weird thing. This guy that was talking to Tucker Carlson, he looks like the guy from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The guy that had the original ring holder, the original.
Yeah.
I forget his name. I'm not a.
Yeah.
But he looks like, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This
All right,
guy.
let's play
like
this before we dip out.
Right,
this is good.
9 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world. Enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs. even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
This is why people don't want to pay taxes anymore. And I don't blame them. I mean, this is what it is. This is why, like, should we even have an election? Will there even be an election? Super D, given the shades. Sorry, getting ready for the ice storm. Yes, whatever the news is spewing. Cold as fuck. See you guys next time. Cheers. Be safe out there, my friend. Alba's gifting the cookie. Great show. Thanks. You're welcome. See, a lot of people won these gold pills. Yeah, I mean, listen, be safe out there. I mean, if you don't have to go anywhere, I wouldn't. I would lock and load, stay safe, stay comfy, keep warm. I mean, it's going to be brutal out there. I feel bad for a lot of people out there that are going to be dealing with temperatures that are outside. It's kind of like the movie Day After. You know, it's nuts, man. Marshall, your thoughts? I mean, it's crazy, right?
Well, I mean, the hype is great.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely blowing it up for a whole week.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I don't think you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to be all right. I think you'd be better off stocking up on a few cases of beer and some ramen noodles, and you'll be fine.
Ramen noodles. I don't know about that.
I know.
Those are probably two unhealthy things to have. I
Well,
mean, try to
yeah,
find
yeah,
better
well.
ways. But yeah. Well, that's
You
our
get my
show.
point. You get my point.
That's our show. Maybe I'll check in on everybody on Sunday. I hope you're doing well. Hope you have internet. Hope you're safe. Just be take it easy out there. I mean, I don't know. I think, again, when I look at the storm and how it's being built up, it reminds me of how hurricanes are just, they're just raised to the 10th level.
Yep.
Get out. It's going to be a man. It's going to be it's going to be blood. Nothing's going to survive.
And a chair blows over.
Yeah.
The end of the hurricane
Yeah.
is a picture of my chair
Yeah.
that blew over on my deck.
Yeah, I'm not.
So, I
That's
mean,
why
they
I'm just
do-
like,
they do this stuff, Brett. Come on.
they do. I know they do.
So don't
And that's what-
overblow yourself up. Don't have a heart attack.
the people that are probably dealing with cold temperatures right now and some snow are probably,
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Don't do
probably
nothing.
feeling it.
Yeah, don't do nothing stupid. Don't
No.
keep doing the normal things you do, because usually the people that get hurt or die they do something out of the ordinary around their house during the storm, and they end up, I don't know, in a ditch or under a snow thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So don't do those things.
Well, that's our show. Thank you, Super D, for the 117 gold pills. We will return on Monday. Take care. Be well. Be safe. God bless all of you guys out there. That's our show tonight. Good night, Marshall. Have a good night. Ciao, Bella, everybody.
Stay warm.